The Green Bay Packers, facing an uphill battle to get into the playoffs, may have just received some help from the Minnesota Vikings, or did they? Guys, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so when we talk Kevin O'Connell and his indecisiveness as head coach in the Minnesota Vikings as to who he wants out leading his team at quarterback, filling in for injured Kirk Cousins, that may have just helped the Green Bay Packers out. What do I mean by that? We're talking the Minnesota Vikings have just named Jaren Hall their starting quarterback ahead of Sunday night's game versus the Green Bay Packers. If you don't know who Jaren Hall is, we saw him earlier in the season when Kirk Cousins goes out with a season-ending Achilles injury. Jaren Hall is the next man up. He finishes that game and also starts part of the Atlanta Falcons game, where he plays about a quarter and a half of total football this NFL season versus the Packers and Atlanta before he goes out with a concussion. And then they turn to Joshua Dobbs, who they acquired in a trade from the Arizona Cardinals. He seems to pump some life into this Minnesota team. They go on a win streak, and then Kevin O'Connell's his patience must wear pretty thin and must be pretty thin because they were looking pretty good under Joshua Dobbs. And then they just lay an egg versus the Raiders. He then turns to Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is a turnover machine. So then now they have reverted going back to Jaren Hall, former BYU quarterback. They think he is the answer versus the Green Bay Packers. So let's take a look at what Jaren Hall was able to do against the Green Bay Packers in that short amount of time that they saw him out in the field. A game in which the Packers lose. They lose 24-10 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Jaren Hall finished the game 3 for 4, 23 yards. And then he starts the next game versus the Atlanta Falcons. What was he able to do in that win? So they were actually trailing in this game before Joshua Dobbs comes in and pumps some life into this Minnesota Vikings team, gives them some hope. They ride that high and they go on a win streak. But before then, Jaren Hall, 5 of 6, 78 yards passing. He finishes 2 carries, 11 yards. So if you don't know, this guy likes to get the ball out of his hands quickly. And he did so in this short amount of time that he played to TJ Hawkinson, a guy in which he loved as a target. Thankfully, TJ Hawkinson will not be out on the football field versus the Green Bay Packers. He is out with a season-ending injury, unfortunately for him. The Packers, but here's the thing. The Packers secondary under Joe Barry conjures up the first good performance of Bryce Young's early career, NFL career. He makes him look good. Bryce Young is not a good and will not be a good NFL quarterback. He makes him look super good. And if you remember earlier in the season, obviously when the Packers faced Tommy DeVito, he made him look super good. Where's Tommy DeVito now? Tommy DeVito is riding the pine. He lost his starting role at quarterback there. So is this good news for the Green Bay Packers? Because Joe Barry historically makes good, younger quarterbacks, unproven quarterbacks look amazing. So Jaren Hall may have a performance of a lifetime versus the Green Bay Packers. I seem to think this is going to be good news for the Packers, but who knows under Joe Barry's defense. The Vikings are still 1.5 point favorites going into this game. Guys, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Go Pack.